Counting 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Mama V here in a runoff of the DMC member.
Jesus.
He's wearing Adidas pants, and I was like, "What are we doing? A Run DMC shot?"
Funk Master J.
So yes, welcome to our quarantine week. So I think it's like the end of 5 going on to week 6 of shelter in place for the Bay Area, and we have for you today, since you have the food, since you got the food, want to explain to them.
We have lobster.
Lobster.
So we picked this up from the supermarket.
Go ahead. We're just chilling.
So we picked it up from the supermarket. Mama V made her lemon sauce.
Yes, I learned it actually from YouTube. It's like this girl in like the out in the deep depths of wherever. And so she does lemon juice, some sugar, some garlic, and some red Thai chili peppers. It is bomb. Although you got to be careful about the chilies. They're small, but they're mighty. And the longer it sits in the juices, it gets more spicy. But yes. And then we have some sauces to go with the lobster. So we have my favorite chili sauce. As you can see, it's halfway done. Some sriracha. Jonas has some brown rice. You gotta flip it. Some brown rice. And yeah, we are excited. As you can see, moods are slowly changing as to our video last week. And I was actually watching Eat with Kim, one of my favorite mukbangers. And she was doing crab. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do crab or lobster today. And she actually replied to my comment. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Because I commented within the first 6 minutes, maybe her video was released, and she already had 300 views. And then 14 minutes later, she was already at 2,000 views. So yes, so shout out to her. And yeah, so we are going to take a couple of bites. I think it's our first time having a whole lobster, right? We've had lobster tails and claws, detached, but not a whole lobster.
To ourselves.
Yeah, so the belly, the claws, so yes, what are you gonna go first? The claws?
I think I'm gonna try a claw. And they were still alive when we got these fellows.
Yeah, because okay.
I let them hang out
in the sink. I took a nap.
Have you ever seen that Homer Simpsons episode when he gets emotionally attached to the chill man? I'm trying to tell a story, bro.
The viewers want to see the eating too. It ain't a mukbang for no reason. Okay,
that
go ahead.
Simpson episode when
obviously he's gotten a little
he got
attached.
emotionally attached. So when I got the lobsters, I had put them in the sink, and I was like,
they were just chilling in there.
You could just chill out, man, till the time comes. And I was trying to drink. I put a little bowl for them with some water. I was like, you want some water? You want something to eat,
not
bro?
A dog. And the funny thing is, I woke up and I was like, I've been trying to make Gemma's cupcakes. If you've never seen her YouTube channel, I was trying to make her cupcakes. And I've been so busy this week. I've been staying up late, working late. And so, yeah. So, anyways, I got the urge to do the cupcakes. And I was getting the ingredients ready. I'm still kind of sleepy at this point. And I looked down because I'm washing my hands to get the ingredients ready. I looked down and these two guys are just moving around. I was like, oh, shoot. And I was like, bro, why didn't you tell me the lobster's in? He thought it was the funniest thing. And the girls were just watching it. But, are you good? Can we go?
Yeah, okay. Chill.
I've seen it that you, so that bend right there, you, bend it, and then you twist it. And then all the juices come out. It has, the inside's the crab, that brownish part when you crack the body open.
I wonder if that's,
Yeah, that's, the inside that I'm not going to eat. So, yeah, y'all got the lobster tail here. Lobster tails are so small, but so expensive. So, yeah, anyways, we,
Pass me the crab.
I bought this, so we don't use knives and stuff anymore, I bought my parents one, too. we were gonna go drop off some stuff at my parents this past weekend, and so oh, that it just dipped its whole self. You might want to be careful. That might be hot.
Hot.
So yeah, so my parents, they live in the city, so lobster's a little bit expensive out there near the shop. It's like $10 a pound. Now here it's like $7 to $8, or excuse me, crab. So I got them some crab. I got Jonah some crab for like Easter, and so yeah, it was good. But yeah, I never had. All right, we crab. This lobster's flying everywhere. But yeah, I had to run and grab some cereal. I'm pretty sure, so this kind of reminds me of like the shrimp. And so I feel like that inside stuff is like the bowels of the lobster. So I will not be eating that. So yeah, look. So I wanted to try the full lobster. Ah! The only thing, so I've tried like lobster not gutted, like it wasn't deshelled or anything before. I've tried it like once, and you think it's gonna have the same like shell thickness as a crab, but it's actually a lot thicker. So that's why it's just harder and messier to eat during mukbang. So shout out to those folks who like actually do it. And I was watching Nikocado Avocado. He bought one of those big giant Maine lobsters, like the monster ones, and he had to use like a hammer to get into like the body of it. But I appreciate his video though, because he did say that like it wasn't like regular lobster, because those lobsters are older, so their meat was a lot more tougher. So it's not like king crab where like those are big, those are big, you know, crabs, and the meat texture is a little bit different versus this one. You know, it's a lot more tougher. And with lobster, so the meat can get really rough easy. So you gotta either, best way is to steam it, but if you don't have a steamer, just cook it on low for a longer time. So I'm just cleaning out all this. I don't know what it is.
You went straight for the tail, huh?
I just feel like it's easier than the claws. The claws are like its defense mechanism, so I feel like it's harder. Yeah, so he was saying that he didn't like the big lobsters, Nikocado Avocado, in his video. I'm like, yes, it's like aesthetically looks good. That's good with that. Aesthetically looks good, but like taste-wise, it was just too tough because it was older. Versus crab, like you can steam it. Its meat can handle better temperatures without higher temperatures without compromising the meat. So what I did was, one, is cheaper to buy the lobster than getting it from like a crab boil or whatever. One of the stores I wanted to get crab from last week, like with the sauce and everything, they're trying to charge me like $40 for a crab. So I was like, we're going to a store, we're gonna make our own. So for this one, we boiled it on low heat and water, but I put like garlic powder of it. I put some Cajun sauce and stuff because I'm a true believer.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, I'm a true Cajun seasoning and some onion powder, some celery salt. I'm a true believer that whatever you boil this in, it's gonna sop up all of that. So yes, y'all should try this. So I wanted to do this sauce instead of like a traditional Cajun sauce, yeah, because of the butter. So it's a little bit more low calorie, a little bit more healthier, because it's, you know, it's just 3 to 4 ingredients. Probably it's like just the what is that called? The sugar that brings it up. It's tougher than the crab, huh? The meat?
A little bit.
Yeah. If y'all didn't know, lobster back in the day, used to be super cheap and considered for poor folks.
Really?
So lobsters are bottom feeders. They're at the bottom of the sea eating the whatever's at the bottom of the sea.
Oh, that's what he was doing.
And
he was like trying to like get something into his mouth when we were hanging out.
Okay, I'm gonna try it with the chili sauce. So, back in the day, from what I was reading, lobsters were bottom feeders, so they were like super cheap. They're in abundance, you know, and so yeah, they weren't really a luxury. And so what happened was like when industrialization started happening and like the railroads and all that, this is one of the cheaper places where you can get them, right? But you can only get them from certain places. Like Maine was a really popular place.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so when they were doing, so they were like, oh, we can buy the railroad was like, oh, we can feed this to the passengers. It seems exotic, but we know it's cheap. So yeah, they started traveling across the U.S. and then become a luxury food.
Wow.
I like it better with this.
Then what?
Than the chili sauce. The chili sauce kind of overpowers the meat.
I was saying that's interesting that Maine was a popular place because I was watching Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, and there's a guy in Maui who makes like lobster and cake, a lobster and cake sandwich, and he gets it shipped directly from Maine.
Yeah, so Maine is a main distributor. I mean, if y'all into lobsters, y'all see those websites, and like Maine ships it out internationally. So yeah. I feel like the lemon's a little bit better too because it gets in the meat versus the chili sauce just coats it, you know? Yeah, it's a little tougher than meat. I mean, crab. I can't imagine the bigger ones then. The bigger ones are probably super tough. You gotta like chew that thing like bubblegum. This is what happens, y'all. It's been a crazy week.
Been a long work week.
Like between like working from home and like balancing having the girls at home full time. Shout out to baby daddy. He's really been holding the weight on terms of that. Because it's a really busy season for me. So a lot of the times I'm like, a lot of like my mental work happens at night when the girls are down and like I can just like relax and like really get that stuff done. So I be going to sleep late, waking up early for work. So I think like the past 48 hours, I've gotten like maybe 10 to 12 hours of sleep in the past 2 days, and you should have like over 16 hours, 8 hours a night. And so going strong, y'all, going strong. But do you want to tell them what we watched yesterday? It was really interesting, y'all. It's so interesting. A big old claw, and it's connected by this little like ligament right there, right?
So,
sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Yesterday, we were just searching, trying to find something new to watch.
And we love reality TV.
We love reality TV.
Yeah, like documentaries, or if it's like reality TV, like dating shows or something like that. It's something to get your mind off of currently the state you're in, you know?
Right. So it was crazy because at first, it was like the number one recommended on Hulu. And I had skipped past it, and Mama V was like, no, go back to that.
It was a simple, like, you know how some shows have, like kind of like a thumbnail of, like, oh, that seems interesting. But this one was just, like, the title. What was the name of the show?
Taking At Birth.
Taking At Birth, and, like, a crib in the background. So it's very simple, but I was like, oh.
Right, you could easily skip it if you didn't read into it, but...
Reread into it, which y'all should. It's...
Bro.
Bananas. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
So, it's called Taking At Birth.
There's a bunch of water coming out of it.
I lost that claw. I'm not gonna mess with that claw. It's called Taking At Birth. And it is about some of the craziest thing you would never expect to happen. So this, should I just get into it or should I background it?
It's shocking if you're talking to rational folks.
It's true.
If you're irrational, you'd be like, or if you've been through some stuff in life, you could see the other side of why this stuff happened. Yeah. I personally was like,
bruh, but then, like, you know what? Okay, all right. Before we get too deep into it, this is the background. So there's a city in Georgia, the state of Georgia, that had a doctor. It's a small town. McCainsville. That had a doctor perform illegal abortions and sell children on the black market. Now, when I say perform illegal abortion, sometimes this is all speculation, he would induce labor. So there's a lot of speculation. Nobody knows the truth, but then some people say that women would come to him in the town and say that, oh, I don't want to have a baby, and then he would convince them to keep the baby. But most of the babies were coming out at 4 to 5 pounds, which signifies that labor was induced.
Yeah, so you're supposed to go, full term is 40 weeks, right? So it's like 9-ish months, and then all the babies consistently were like 4 to 6 pounds.
So
no, not even 6, 4 to 5 pounds.
Yeah, 4 to 5 pounds.
And all of them were born around like 32 weeks.
And this happened in the 1960s, and there are over 200 babies that were sold on the black market.
They called them Hicks babies.
The Hicks babies.
Because that was the last name of the doctor, Dr. Hicks.
His name was Dr. Hicks.
Oh, there's like a tight muscle right there. That's interesting. It's like cartilage.
And bruh, it's only 3 episodes long. It's an intense. Each episode are 2 hours long, but it's intense. Like, you cannot take your eyes off of it.
Yeah, we watched it in one night, and I hope there's more.
Yeah, I don't know if they're giving new episodes, but it kind of felt like that was like the end on the 3rd episode.
For now, I feel like you might see what the popularity is.
They had put a little twist at the end that no one thought. Crazy. So anyways, all these it's about a reporter. She had actually came out with the story in 1997, and it gained popularity again because they made a docuseries about it on TLC.
She wasn't a reporter. She was a Hicks baby.
She was a Hicks baby that became an investigator on the case.
Yeah, so what happened was she was going through her mom's stuff, and she was like, she noticed on the mom had a baby book, had her sister's date of birth, but then had a different date of birth next to her sister's date of birth that wasn't on her birth certificate. She's like, Mom, why do you have 2 different dates for me? One on my birth certificate, one on my baby book. And she was like, oh, you were adopted. That's the day I picked you up from the clinic. And she was like, what? She didn't know she was adopted. The claw meat is a little bit better. A little bit softer. A little bit softer than the little claw meat. So then she was saying that she started trying to find her birth parents, and she uncovered, she was like, hey, why does the birth certificate say her adoptive parents are actually her biological parents? She was like, well, that's what the birth certificate the doctor gave me. So then she started realizing wasn't a legal adoption. It was a illegal adoption created in the black market. So she investigated for like over 30 years and finds out there's over 200 babies who came forward because their birth certificate were signed by Dr. Hicks. So they came forward and were saying like, yeah, like I didn't even know I was adopted. I saw this, and they have like a little support group. So it's just crazy because people are like, oh, okay, well, maybe he was just he was just trying to keep women from having abortions and wanted them to find a good home, but he was charging folks $1,000
in 1960.
That's a lot of money. He was the only doctor in that town, and he pretty much owned half the downtown.
He owned, the whole downtown.
And it was crazy because, so she's on search for her birth parents, and DNA wasn't available until recently. And so for 17 years, she thought she found her birth parents, and then DNA came about, and it wasn't. So that was very heartbreaking for her. So she's been investigating and trying to help the other Hicks babies who have been, sold to other families.
Find their biological
parent. So,
dude, it's so crazy. You should.
Yeah.
You guys should totally watch it.
The craziest part is so Dr. Hicks had a son. Dr. Hicks Jr. had a son, and him and his wife couldn't conceive. So they actually adopted a kid.
One of the Hicks babies.
One of the Hicks babies. So none of the family wants to take a DNA test to find out if she is actually like her adoptive dad.
Yeah.
Her adoptive dad is actually her biological dad, and the family members didn't want to get into it. And it's crazy because, like, it's a small town, and when the Hicks baby who started this whole, like, search, she would go to town and people are like, don't ask about that, and, like, we're really shady, and they're like, well, we don't know about that. So they turned a really blind eye. And so you're thinking, like, maybe they're scared about it.
Right.
But they're all in on it. Like, the whole town. It was a whole conspiracy at that time.
In the 1960s, in that town, if you had an illegitimate child, you would go to Dr. Hicks.
And he would fix the problem.
And the reason why they were all in on it, because one of the children of the Hicks babies, one of the Hicks babies, her biological dad at the time was the mayor of the city.
So the mayor was married, had another baby with another woman. It was too big of a scandal, so he had that woman go to Dr. Hicks. He fixed the problem, and that child got adopted out to somewhere else. And then they realized one of the other Hicks babies, out of the 200 Hicks babies, was the chief of police at the time. Dr. Hicks was having it. So you got the mayor in on it. The chief of police is trying to hide a legitimate child. And so Dr. Hicks's son, again, him and his wife couldn't have kids. So they adopted a girl. She really did look like her dad. But she did a DNA test that wasn't her dad. But there was this one girl in town
who claims
was like, I think your grandfather is my dad, and the DNA test came back as positive, that she was right the whole time, that she was adopted out, and her Dr. Hicks himself was having illegitimate children and selling them. Yep, selling them, and rightfully he was keeping them around town or something, like keeping them close, but didn't want to claim them. The most sad part is one of the Hicks babies, so they're all like, the Hicks babies are like in their 40s and 50s.
Older.
But one of them, the claw meat is a lot softer. It's good. I'm gonna let that sit in the juice. One of the other Hicks babies, so he's like the oldest one that they know of, so he's 70. Come to find out, his mom wanted him. His mom went in, gave birth, and she was told that they were stillborn. So she had a death certificate and everything. She didn't know what happened to them. And then they finally find his biological family, and they tell him that one of the Hicks babies, who the oldest one, he actually had a twin.
A twin.
So he sold off him and his twin, and he always felt that his adoptive family didn't really want him. Like the other Hicks babies were like, yeah, like my family, I felt really welcome, but there was always that piece missing. But for him, he said
it was a hard life.
Yeah, his adoptive family didn't really want him, so he always felt like he never belonged anywhere.
He called himself the textbook definition of a redheaded stepchild.
Mm-hmm. It was so sad, and on top of that, to realize that he had a twin. And the reason why me and Baby Daddy think that there's another season or another set of episodes to come out.
Bruh, check this out. Dr. Hicks had a son-in-law that also practiced medicine, and he had a clinic in
Chattanooga.
Chattanooga, Tennessee.
And they realized all the Hicks babies went to a specific part of town. So all the Hicks babies were pretty much adopted out to another state, and that was consistent. But there's this one child who is in Chattanooga, and they're like, the only thing that relates her to Chattanooga is her birth certificate.
That says Dr. Hicks.
And he was his son-in-law, so they don't have the same last name, but through like history, what is that called? Investigation, they find out that the son had started off at the son-in-law started off at Clinton clinic in Chattanooga, selling babies too.
Or allegedly, but.
And then they were like researching the family. They had multiple doctors in the family who ended up moving out of state, and they're finding like all these Hicks babies, who were like adopted but not really like legally adopted in other places. So it's crazy. Like the story just gets crazier and crazier, and my heart really goes out to these folks who, like, you know, they're really putting their life there. And yeah, it was just crazy. It's a good show to watch. But
like, can you imagine, like, in present day when the girls were born premature, they had to stay in the NICU. These babies were being transported to
when they gave birth, so the mother would give birth, and Dr. Hicks would be like, to the adoptive family, you gotta come here within 12 hours if you want this baby. And they would be so small. Everybody consistently said, they're so small, you can fit them in their hand. It was like a Barbie doll.
He told them to bring a pillow.
So sit the baby on, because, you know, they didn't have car seats around then. Interesting. All this meat. It's like definitely like a crab anatomy.
So one of the Hicks babies was from Akron, Ohio. So I Googled it. From McKaysville to Akron, Ohio is a 10-hour drive. Present day. So a 4-pound baby driving from Maysville to Akron, Ohio, premature.
I'm surprised a lot of those babies made it. And you gotta think about it, like, there are some babies who probably didn't make it on the drive. So there could be a ton of, like, other, you know, stories that they're uncovering. And so, yeah, it's a crazy story. I can't believe it. It was a really good one. Y'all should watch that if y'all got time. Y'all
It's
probably
on
got
Hulu.
time. Mm-hmm.
Taking that birth. There's other details that make you suspect other things that we left out because you need to watch it.
Yeah, y'all should definitely watch it for yourselves. We should probably set a spoiler alert. But yes, it was a really dope show. Yes. Well, I hope that you guys are all staying good and healthy. Sending you guys all positive vibes. And especially those small businesses who are struggling during this time. I hope, you know, if we do come out of this shelter in places when everybody's safe and comfortable to go back to society, but
It looks like
still with social distancing.
I think New York extended it to May 15th.
If New York extended it, that means we probably extended it.
Here in
New York was
California.
ahead of the curve. But yeah. Again, y'all, we appreciate y'all for joining us in our mukbang. Our lobster one. It was good just to eat the lobster and not feel super heavy. But yeah, peace and love, y'all. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay sanitary. Bye.